Welcome to Food, Wine, and Whiskey, a podcast about having fun conversations on tasty dishes, vinos, and spirits from around the world. Rob is your host. He is an avid home chef, WSET Level 2 award in wine, and a whiskey drinker and collector. Time to set the table. Here's Rob.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for joining in and listening to our show, and it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, what do you buy? What do you drink? I mean, I've gotten to the point where for bourbon, I mean, I think I'm just exclusively buying bourbons that I've picked.
Yeah.
You know, like most recently, Pick dropped, and I bought a case of it, Four Roses, right? So, you know, that'll hold me over for a while.
Sure.
And what I like to do is share with friends, right? So hey, you know, one or two bottles at cost to some people that like Four Roses, and hold on to some for myself. And then I was thinking what is the most recent thing that I bought from a spirit standpoint was a single barrel El Tesoro Reposado.
Oh yeah.
That's
good tequila.
So it's venturing out, you know?
Yeah.
It's you get to a point where you feel like you're pretty well versed on what's out there in the market, what you don't like, what you do like, and that'll limit your purchasing. And then it's okay, well, what are some things that I don't have as much experience in? And you start leaning that way, right? So branching out more into wine, agave related spirits, rum. And my opinion is wine and agave is the go-to for Houston. It's just so hot, for the majority of the year. Well, that, wines and agave cocktails.
I do see
cocktails for sure.
So I see from the groups and people we interact with that a lot of us like to cook. And I think wine is, guys who didn't and ladies who didn't drink as much wine a few years ago, I'm seeing are into that spirit. It's not even a spirit, that beverage a lot more than what I saw a few years ago. And I think that's great because, wines, if I had to pick a favorite alcoholic beverage, that would be my favorite by a wide margin. So I think it's pretty cool that a lot of people are getting into wine because they absolutely love wine. I think it's cool that you're getting into wine.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's just pairs with, dining very well. When I was just really a novice in general with spirits, just coming out of college, just crushing Wild Turkey 101 and Coke, and slamming some cold snacks.
You could have done worse.
When I was getting into whiskey, I would pair it with, have a glass of whiskey while you're having dinner. But you don't really drink it much while you're having a meal, right? It may be sitting there. You may have a sip, maybe two, but the wine is just so much more enjoyable.
Well, wine is made to go with food. That's, that brings up a good question. I want to ask you guys. Matt, you know where I stand. Whiskey dinners. We see these big dinners, $160 a person to go in, and we're going to pair some different bourbons or spirits with food. I've never participated in one, never will, just because I just don't think that kind of drink goes with food. It's not meant to pair with food.
Maybe dessert.
I could see it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I could see it going with a dessert, pour with something at the end, but I'm not going to have a steak with some kind of a liquor.
But I've also seen them do cocktails during the main courses as well.
I'd be fine with that, but I still don't think a cocktail is something where I'm. We just said food and wine are meant to go together. You're meant to take a bite of food and a drink of wine, and they enhance each other. Where I've never had a cocktail or a spirit that I think one or the other is enhanced by food or the liquor. Other than maybe a dessert, chocolates and things.
I disagree on that. I think wine's better, but I will say that. I've become a fan of a standard martini recently, as in a vodka or a gin martini. Mostly gin.
You gotta go gin.
I think gin is much more interesting, but
just don't tell Yana.
Yeah, right. But I think that a martini, for example, I found goes extremely well with seafood that has, a nice cream sauce or some citrus or something like that to it. I've found that works. I found that whiskeys work well with I don't know. I've had certain appetizers that are fat based kind of things, like where the alcohol cuts really well through it, like to where you've got like, I don't know, like I've seen people do like different types of candied bacon or rendered bacon or something like that. Like whiskey, okay, goes pretty well with that. You have to kind of get more selective with it, I guess.
Well, to me, it's a volume thing. Is there a bite of food that can go with a whiskey? Yes. But when you're doing a meal or a course, multiple courses over, 3 or 4 course dinner, to me, that doesn't work. It doesn't go. I'm not saying there's not a bite of food that wouldn't go with a whiskey. But, when I think about food and wine, I'm thinking take a bite, take a drink. Take a bite, take a drink.
Yeah.
And, you've been to dinners here. We might have 4, 5, 7, 9 bottles of wine over the course of depending on the number of people who are here.
Yeah.
Enjoying
and
those.
pairing with courses.
Different things. Where whiskeys, I'm not going to drink that much whiskey with different courses and food. It's just my opinion. I just think it gets back to the whole taterism that, these whiskey guys, they can put a dinner together at Whiskey Cake or wherever and charge you $180 a person to come in for a half-ounce pour of 5 different bourbons with some food. And I'm not knocking. If you want to go do that, go do it. To me, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't go.
So I'd say, yes, whiskey dinner, maybe not the best. Some kind of spirits pairing with different courses, I could see that.
Different bites.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even like I'll sip a martini like with a seafood dish.
Yeah.
I think that.
Yeah, I mean, cocktails. I'm a little more lenient on. I still don't think I've ever had a cocktail going, I'm going to order this cocktail because this cocktail with this fish or this lobster or this steak is going to, it's going to go together.
Yeah, but it's usually like the cocktail pairings. It's usually when it's like a preset menu and the person coordinating the dinner makes a cocktail for each dish.
I know.
As opposed to like what you're like, I would agree. Like, I'm not going to sit down and have a steak and be like, oh, I'm going to have that cocktail that's off of the menu, like the normal menu. But I have seen it done really well. Like, for Sean Beck does some outstanding things with cocktails and food pairings.
I just don't. Call me crazy. I just don't think. I don't care what cocktail you make, even whatever effort you put into it. It's just not something I'm going to think is enhancing my meal.
Yeah, which is fine.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I think it's more of an open your mind type thing because I do think.
Hey, that's a shot, and I take offense to that. What do you mean open?
You're so
my
closed-minded.
No, I'm just saying. I think that there is a mind.
He's saying that, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm saying that there's a mindset.
He just said it nicely.
That wine goes with food, and I'm just saying there is another door here to explore, and that's it.
It's the closet door.
Yeah,
Come out.
come on out of that closet. I'm not saying that it's going to replace wine for you, but I'm also saying don't completely knock it, because I think there is some value there.
I'm not saying, look, I want to get into more cocktails. I love cocktails. I think whiskeys, I love them when I'm prepping and cooking for a couple hours and having a couple pours. Cocktails kind of the same way. But when I sit down and have a meal, I don't care what you say. None of that goes with food. Wine goes with food.
But listen to your statement. You said, I don't care what you say.
That's right.
So, I mean,
I'm not saying that I'm not open to you trying to say I can convince you. I'm going to cook a 3-course meal. You're coming over. I'm going to put some bourbons with it. Let's see what you think. I'll try it. But right now, I've never had anything or thought that there was anything that would whiskey or cocktails in food is what I want to do.
I mean, I would just say like doing a cocktail pairing, it's just going to be much harder to pull off,
Yeah.
And to pull off as well as you could pull off wine because like
wine goes with food.
You got to start talking about like, okay, what kind of flavors are going to balance? Does it need to be light? Does it need to be bold? Whereas you can just be like, here's each course and here's some wines that'll go with it.
You're making my point
It's
for
just
me.
much more plug and play. Yeah.
I'd say it's easier to do. Yeah, absolutely, it's easier to do.
Well, I would say you're saying easy, and I would say it's meant to do.
Okay. Well,
I'm not saying you can't go against the grain and try to do it. I'm just saying I don't know that it works.
I'm not arguing that
Doesn't
wine
work.
isn't the number one thing that goes with food. I will never argue that. But I'm just saying that there is other
that it does,
avenues.
It does
Wrong.
Okay. I mean, it's fine. But
Anyway, I just wanted to I knew your opinion, Matt.
yeah. I mean, it's fine. I mean, look, if I have a meal, I'm not gonna like. For the most part, I'm always gonna choose wine. You know, like.
Again, you're making my point.
But I'm just saying, like, some people just close it off. Like, they just say, like, oh, this doesn't work.
Look,
you know?
when we go to a restaurant and we're like, hey, we're going to have a bottle with dinner, Sandra and I look at the menu and go, hey, let's order a couple cocktails, and we can have that with an appetizer while we're looking through the wine list and trying to figure out. We love to do that. We do it at Ginger and Fork. Come in, let me have a whiskey root.
Yeah.
Give me the wine menu. And, we ordered a bottle of wine the other night. So I'm all, or a pour, or after dinner a pour. But I don't know. I just, I would love to be convinced. And anybody who wants to try to do a pairing and show me that it works with food and whiskey or food and cocktails, I'm down. But I just don't think it's achievable. I think it's part of the tater game, and people are cashing in on it. And
I would definitely not say gin martinis are part of the tater game.
But it's not. It doesn't go with food. I'm saying they're trying to make this kind of, because wine dinners have become a thing over the last few years.
But also, like, if you do like
now, they're trying to do these cocktails and whiskey dinners, like they're pairing it. Doesn't go.
Also, like, another way to look at it is like when you're looking at like whiskey cake as an example is like if you get to taste like the BTAC, you're doing 5 flights, it's $200. You get food. You could compare that to like, okay, like ease of access. Like I can get it. I can pay for a ticket to go to this dinner. I can get to try all the releases from this year. Plus I get food versus, hunting down a bar that's going to have all 5 of those available, and the price points, like you get 5 pours, you may be paying over $200 without food. So it may not even be like, does the pairing work well versus it's actually a good offering for the consumer, if that makes sense.
If that makes perfect sense. If that's the reason you're doing it, because you get this opportunity to taste all 5.
Yeah, you don't care about the dinner. Right?
You don't care about the dinner, but it's nice to have a little food because you're drinking some whiskey. Then I'm fine. But this idea that we are pairing, George T. Stagg with
I don't think it comes from that lens,
okay, good.
Right? Where they're saying
then I'm okay with it if that's why you're doing it. Matt's giving me
when
the
you
look
say
like
that
you are a dumbass.
It makes me think of Whiskey Social one year, and the guy that they had leading the BTAC tasting.
Woodard?
It was not Wade. It was not Wade. Wade wasn't available, so they had somebody. I was actually like looking forward to Wade doing it because it's just like he's just going to like give you knowledge and let you taste. And he's very knowledgeable. The guy that they had leading it paired the whiskeys with music, and so he was just like
music
instead of like talking about
trying to get you in the mood.
And and I don't need somebody to like tell me about the whiskey, right? But the majority of people in there will probably be like, "Hey, this release is X amount of years old. That varies from other releases. Blah 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 blah. This is the proof point. It's going to be more this forward versus last year." The majority of people are probably looking for that. And this guy was just like, this is Thomas H. Handy. It hits you in the face. Here's a punk song from the 80s. I'm just like, drink it. And it was wild. Like, I just like drank through all of them as quickly as I could and just got out of there.
Well, you and I went to the Pappy one this year. Thank you, James.
Yes.
And we didn't get any food. I mean, perfect time for them to have some bites for us to pair that with.
It would... You don't pair that. I mean, to me, it's a one-off.
That was high-end. If you don't pair that, it's like saying you don't pair DRC with food.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's an ability to
It was the Pappy tasting. We had all the family rye plus the 20, 23, 15.
But I mean, those type of wine, or like, not wines.
You're talking about Whiskey Social? Or
yeah.
So like, that's
I know. I'm just giving him a hard time because we didn't have
But like, I will say, to that point.
Well, you should, since
George
he called you closed-minded.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, William Weller, like the Pappies, things like that. They're standalone. You want to drink them on their own. I mean, that's old whiskey, and you should be drinking it on its own.
That's whiskey, period.
In general, yes, I would say that.
I'm just giving you a hard time. Okay, we can move on.
But anyway, can we talk about which ones we like the best?
This guy's starting to sweat over here.
Jeez. I'm going to freaking blow this guy's mind. I'm going to make the most amazing cocktail pairing.
Pairing, okay. You've made some amazing cocktails that I absolutely enjoy. And I've gotten to where I really enjoy some cocktails. And I can see cocktails with some little bites, when you start tonight with a charcuterie tree or something. But anyway, let's get off. We'll then do a cocktail.
Okay,
episode.
we will. I would just say cocktails are comprised of ingredients, and it's just like cooking a meal.
Sure.
You make those ingredients
All
fit
right.
together. Okay.
Thanks, guys, for doing this. Had a lot of fun. A little bourbon talk. Little
Absolutely.
clarifying that wine is the only beverage that goes with food. So I was glad we got that done.
From a closed-minded individual.
I mean,
Let me shut my closet door and get back in there.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of fun having this conversation, fellas. Thanks for doing it. And we're going to get off here, go eat a burger, and maybe drink a little wine. Or do you want a bourbon with your burger?
No, I'll have wine.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to
gosh.
this episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. And until our next episode, enjoy your next pour.
Cheers, everybody.